Okay, so this is the back of the notes. We're going to change from root form to standard form. So anytime you're in a certain form, you can always change it to a different form. Okay, so remember standard form is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so that's the form that we want to get it in. So notice that we have two different binomials and we're multiplying all those together. So in order to get it in standard form, that's what we're going to do. We're going to multiply them together. Now, remember we talked about how if we have a single variable and we're multiplying binomials, we can do it mentally. So what I want to do first is I want to multiply these together, then I'll distribute the -2. So I'm just going to bring down that -2. And then when we multiply those mentally, we get x squared. And you add the two numbers in parentheses to give you -3, put an x with it. And then the last term is multiplying those numbers together, which would give you a -40. Okay, so from here we are distributing. So y equals -2x squared plus 6x and plus 80. So there is our standard form. Okay, so if you're going from root form to standard form, you're just multiplying everything together. It doesn't matter the order that you multiply them. Okay, so looking at 6, we're changing from vertex, but we're still going to standard form. So still that same form there. Okay, so notice here we have x minus 1 squared. That means you're multiplying it by itself. So I want you to rewrite that as 4x minus 1 times x minus 1 and then plus 9. So that means the same exact thing as what we had on the original. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to get it to standard form. We're going to multiply these two first, then distribute the 4. So we can do those mentally. So that'd be x squared. We're adding -1 and -1, which makes -2x. And then we're multiplying to get +1. I now need to close my parentheses, and then I'll bring down that plus 9. From here, we're going to distribute the 4. Make sure you don't distribute the 4 to the 9 because 9 is not inside the parentheses. So I want you to just bring that 9 down there. Okay, so then we're going to combine like terms. So y equals 4x squared minus 8x plus 13. So there's our standard form. Okay, so let's take a look at 7. On 7, we're going from standard form to root form. So root form is y equals a times x minus r1 times x minus r2. Okay, so if we're in standard form and we're going to root form, you will need to factor in order for it to look like root form with two sets of parentheses. Okay, so remember when we're factoring, the first thing we look for is a GCF. Notice that they all three have a 4 in common. So we'll divide each one by that GCF to determine what's left. So we have left x squared minus 5x minus 6. From here, we have 3 terms inside parentheses, so we will need to do sum and product. So sum would be -5, product would be -6. So that would be a -6 and a +1. Okay, we won't have to use a swing method here because that's a 1 in front of the x squared, so that would be our answer. You could also put x plus 1 and then x minus 6. That's the same exact thing. So when you're going from standard to root, you will need to factor. Okay, so 8, we're changing from standard form to vertex form. So vertex form, remember, is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. Now, when you're in standard and you're going to vertex, you need to know the vertex. Okay, so you need to find the vertex. Okay, we just learned on today's notes on the front how to find the vertex when you're in standard form. There's a formula, x equals negative b over 2a. Okay, so a equals 1, b equals 10, and c equals 23. So x equals negative 10 over 2 times 1. So the x value would be negative 5 of the vertex. Okay, so then once we know x, anytime we know x, we're plugging it back in. So y equals negative 5 squared plus 10 times a negative 5 plus 23. So that's going to give me 25 minus 50 plus 23. So that would be negative 25 when we add 25 and negative 50, plus 23, which would equal negative 2. So we found the vertex. The x is negative 5. The y is negative 2. Remember on the vertex, that's h and that's k. So we're going to plug back into our form here. So y equals a. Look back at your a. A is 1. And then x minus our h, which is a negative 5. So that will make it plus 5 squared. And then k on the form is plus k, so it's negative, so minus 2. And you wouldn't have to write that 1 in front. But just remember to put your a from your standard form. No matter what form you're changing to, your a will always stay the same. Okay, so 9, you're doing the same exact thing, so you can try that one. You're going to vertex form, so you will need to find the vertex of the standard form.